Emotions are a canvas of colors, a tapestry of textures that we weave throughout our lives. They are like a rainbow that arches across the sky. They bloom in vibrant hues of joy and excitement and whisper in the softest shades of sadness and melancholy. Each emotion is a brushstroke on the canvas of our hearts, a unique expression of our innermost selves. They ebb and flow like the tides of the sea, shaping our experiences and molding our perception of the world around us. These emotions are a source of beauty and meaning that adds richness to this journey through life. Yet, understanding emotions can be a challenge. And when emotions sweep over you, you find there are times when you can ignore your feelings, while other times you feel controlled by them. The truly confusing part is realizing you don't always know what you are feeling or why you're acting the way you are. What I really like about Taoism is it offers these guides that can help you unravel your emotions and cope in healthy ways with the world around you. The thing about emotions is they're the things that cause you to criticize yourself. They're the things that make you say that you're not good enough or that you don't fit in or somehow you're weird. And what Taoism helps to do is it helps you see that that might not be a true statement. Taoism encourages you to allow and embrace your natural flow of emotions. And you're probably going, what? All those knee-jerk reactions, all those uncomfortable feelings, all the times you thought you were a little weirdo, you didn't fit in, you weren't good enough, all those uncomfortable emotions, you're just supposed to allow and embrace that stuff. Well, that just sounds stupid. When I first started down the path of Taoism, I thought there was some goal. It was like some sort of sporting event where I was trying to get across the finish line, and I was trying to get across the finish line by acting like somebody that I thought was a perfect representation of the Tao, some perfect person like some Buddhist monk or some religious icon. Here's a secret. You can't get through the Tao through someone else. It took me a long time to realize that. It took me a long time to realize that the Tao wasn't goal-oriented, wasn't some sort of sporting event, and it wasn't me trying to be like someone else. It was me figuring out how to liberate myself and how to be myself again. Isn't that a weird thought? That it's okay to be you and it's okay to have your own emotions, even those emotions that you find confusing or uncomfortable. Rather than trying to control your emotions, Taoism wants you to allow your emotions to flow through you like water, to detach from it and accept it because it's happening right now, and trying to pretend like it's not happening, well, that doesn't work. Because the only time that you're going to be able to unravel yourself, to understand yourself better, is when you're actually going through these emotions that make you feel uncomfortable, that make you feel out of control, that make you feel like you don't fit in, that make you feel like a little weirdo. That is the only time you can better understand yourself and liberate yourself, because when you're experiencing those emotions, when you're experiencing all that discomfort, when you're experiencing the ones that really make you feel out of control and that you don't understand, they're happening for a reason. And they're happening because they're attached to some time in your life where you were cut off from expressing your true identity. And that's where Taoism comes in, because Taoism is about reintegrating yourself. And it's about not fixing yourself, but liberating yourself. And usually liberating yourself from your past, And when you're able to do that, you find that you're able to accept yourself. And when you can accept yourself, you actually find better ways to cope and interact with the world around you. And you find better ways to cope, interact, and accept people around you. So come with me and let's take a look at a piece of this. One of the most socially unacceptable emotions in the West is anger. Taoism sees kindness and anger as two sides of the same coin. So the yin and yang are the same coin. And think about it. You're born into this world with kindness, and then you learn anger. There's this noble aspect to anger. Anger is how we stand up for ourselves and how we stand up for others, and it's how we stand against injustice. But over time, the meaning of your anger can be lost and it changes into this defensive armor where you use it to protect yourself and separate yourself from the world. Or it turns you into a martyr where you harm yourself or you do self-harm to protect others from you. It gets all twisted inside. What starts out as something really noble of you standing up for yourself and others suddenly turns on you. And it starts controlling your actions, it starts controlling your relationships with others, and you have no idea how it got to this point or how you can change it. What can you do to change this, right? Well, the beauty of Taoism is it's about practicing. And when you allow your emotions to flow through you, just to keep on rolling, and you accept the fact that it's really happening, whatever I'm feeling right now, that's happening, that gives you an opportunity to kind of step back inside yourself and ask yourself the question, why am I doing this? So some people, when they get super angry, they punch a wall. Why am I so angry at the wall? Or you can't get out of bed. Why is my body so heavy that I can't lift it out of this bed? So there's a lot of why questions that you can ask yourself. And it's through those why questions that sometimes that's enough to let you change your behaviors. Yet, usually that will just take off the first 10%. And what if you want to go beyond that? Well, in Taoism, there's going to be 9 key reasons why you're going to be afraid to look any deeper into this. And so I'm going to talk to you about one of those fears that we might have of looking at ourselves deeper. The aftermath of any emotion that feels out of control is going to be ugly. And that can make it really hard to look at because you're going to fear that the ugly is really about you, that you're the ugly one, that you're the one with the problem. And yet, if you really want to understand, if you really want to change what's driving these out of control emotions, it's going to take that strength to come face to face with that fear of maybe being the ugly one. And here's why. If you're avoiding looking at your uncomfortable emotions, it's going to usually be because of one of 2 reasons. And it's really about that binary thinking where either you're right or you're wrong. So either you're the ugly one with a problem or they're the ugly ones with a problem. What I found when I was looking at my actions, when I was looking at these situations where I was afraid to look at them because I was afraid that I was going to be the ugly one. When I was strong enough to face my fears, to come face to face with that horror, what I found was what was being said and how I was being treated had really nothing to do with the situation that was actually going on inside of me. So let me give you an example from my life and corporate America. I grew up in the Me Too generation, and let's be real, that generation, it was like Mad Men on steroids. And ghosting women, completely acceptable behavior, and ghosting them in meetings, in one-on-one conversations when they were doing their job. And if I was ghosted and if I kept on pushing it, well, then it would step up to the next level, which were these really subtle uh, little hooks or belittling barbs that were just enough to take a pound of flesh. And that would kick off my knee-jerk reaction, which would piss me off. And it was this out of control, pissed off. And not that you'd blow up in front of these people, because corporate America, you know how to suppress all those emotions, but you'd be super pissed off. And I would still continue to push. And if I did that, then guess what? I was labeled as inflexible and always wanting my own way. And that was really hard for me because I didn't feel like I was inflexible. I didn't feel like I wanted everything my own way. I mean, let's be real. I'm an island girl. When have you gone and run into island people and said, "Whoa, you guys are so inflexible"? I mean, most flexible people, right? So it was a really confusing thing for me because it really left me feeling unbalanced, and it made me feel like I was the ugly person, that I was the bad person. I don't know if you've learned those corporate tool sets to help you manage when your emotions are out of control or when you're having a knee-jerk response. I did. And those tool sets, sure, they helped me get out of the situation, but they didn't change it. I mean, I still felt the same. And because I was trying to stuff it so much harder, it actually felt worse. It actually felt overwhelming. The thing that helped me was Taoism and practicing Taoism and detachment from the situation. And detachment isn't saying don't get hooked in it or it's not happening. Detachment is saying, "Whoa, that's really happening right now. Isn't that interesting?" And being able to watch it go by and wonder why that's happening. So you might think, when you're overwhelmed with anxiety about your job performance, or when you're in a rage because of some injustice that happened to you at work, or you're trying to avoid your boss and coworkers because you just don't want to deal with that stuff right now, whatever it is, you might think, "Ugh, I cannot detach from this," but you can. Just by acknowledging the fact that it's happening right now, and then giving yourself the opportunity to wonder why. And it would start out with me thinking that my response was a little irrational, that it was too much for the situation. And part of that was just that tremendous societal pressure, that pressure from your tribe to just behave. But I really wanted to understand what was going on, and so I was willing to continue moving forward. Part of what was really helpful for me was practicing mindfulness meditations, where I would meditate on nothing, because that helped me learn how to control my mind. So when I was in these situations, it helped me learn to detach from the situation and just observe. Now, this didn't happen the first, second, or third time, but it did happen, and it did start happening in different areas of my life. And through this, I was able to better understand myself. And what was really helpful about that is it helped me stop feeling like a victim of circumstances. Because let's be real, at times, life can really leave you feeling like a victim. That ability to detach, it allowed me to see what was really happening. In my situation, it was the ghosting that I started to hear, that I started to see first. And in my day, we didn't have cool terms like ghosting that everybody understood. Nope. I could say something like, I feel like I'm being ignored, or I think this is really important. And that's when those little subtle barbs would come out that would just take the pound of flesh. The most common was, you're being too emotional. You're acting like, you're a woman. Of course you're emotional. And then if that wasn't enough to shut me up and push me back in my corner, then they would jump on me like a pack of wolves and start name calling and labeling. Oh, you're so inflexible. You want everything your own way. I think she should go to corporate training to better manage her emotions. It was like being on this crazy merry-go-round, and I couldn't see the forest for the trees. In the end, I was the ugly person. I was the bad person. I was the one with the problem. And I just couldn't find a way to be what they wanted me to be without damaging myself, without damaging my identity, without damaging my sense of self-worth. But when I was able to detach from the conversation, that's when I finally saw it. It was like a light exploding in my head. And what had really worried me when I started looking at this was that I was going to be the ugly person, that I was going to be the bad person, because in binary thinking, there can only be one right and one wrong person. What I realized in this situation, I was actually being dehumanized. So I was justifiably mad. What I also realized was that I wasn't the ugly person. I wasn't the one who was wrong and everybody else was right. We were all wrong. And that allowed me to better accept myself and my behaviors. And here's the thing about Taoism and detaching from your emotions, is it allows you to better understand yourself, and through understanding you can better accept yourself. And if you can accept yourself, then you're going to allow yourself to make mistakes. You don't have to be perfect. In fact, you can practice being imperfect, and that's okay. So I can allow myself to get angry at this situation, and as I understand my role and everybody else's role better in the situation, I can find different ways to address the problem instead of going to corporate training to learn how to stuff my emotions or sweep them under the rug. And it took practice, because emotions, they start out really big, but each time that you address them instead of sweeping them under the rug, they get a lot smaller. So that's what I did, is I just practiced. And it's not that I don't get mad when this happens. It's just that I don't get mad all the time now. And through practicing, I'm learning to use my words. And by using my words, I'm learning or practicing different ways of expressing myself to other people to help them better understand who I am and where I'm coming from. One of the things that I learned is that sometimes poor behavior is about socialization. It's not about the individual. And then sometimes poor behavior is about the individual using socialization to get their own way. Either way, I'm just an individual trying to find my way in the world and trying to find my way to connect with other individuals. So you see, Taoism, by opening the door, has allowed you to find a way to more self-acceptance of yourself and your behaviors. And what that does is it allows you to accept other individuals more readily, and you start to realize that it's not that binary thinking of either they're wrong or they're right, or you're wrong or you're right. It's just about people with pain points. And you can start to see their pain points better because you're already addressing your pain points. Hey, if you're at that point where you realize you can move faster with help than on your own, and you're ready to explore that option, then click on the link at the end of this video and schedule your free session to explore what type of transformation you want to make in your spiritual and your emotional goals, and how internal alchemy of Taoism can help you. I was reading some of the ancient Hopi creation myths, and they talk about the birth of a child. They say the child is an ear of perfect corn whose tips end in 4 full kernels. The beauty of this statement, it overwhelms me. An ear of corn is one representation of Mother Earth. It's one representation of our connection to our spiritual and God's self. And it is what we need in order to be able to manifest into this world. And just an ear of corn, that can be shared with everybody. And we consume that, and it becomes part of our delivery in this world. Those 4 kernels represent all directions in all worlds, and the child encompasses everything, all potential, and is perfect. And I just wanted to bring that up because sometimes we forget that we are perfect, or sometimes we're never told that we were perfect and that we have all potential. So until next time, I'll catch you on the other side.